Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive. Today we're tackling a topic that might sound a bit intimidating at first.
Yeah, maybe a little.
Canine aggression.
Oh.
But honestly, understanding it can be like, unlocking a secret code to having an even better relationship with your dog.
It's so true.
Yeah.
We really do
Right.
often misinterpret our dog's signals, and then we miss out on those really important communication cues.
Right.
And the deep dive today uses an expert guide to canine behavior, and it just lays everything out.
It does. It does.
Really helps make sense of things.
Yeah, and it really is all about that perspective shift, right?
Yeah.
Seeing the world through their eyes. Have you ever seen your dog getting a little tense? Maybe a little growl here, a little whine there? Today, we're going to figure out how to understand what's going on in their minds.
Yeah, and I think more importantly, how we can react in a way that helps our dogs
Yes.
feel safe and understood.
Okay, so how does this guide actually define aggression in dogs?
So it really emphasizes that aggression isn't just about biting or attacking.
Right.
It's a whole spectrum of behaviors, really. And it all stems from the same basic idea that the dog is trying to communicate a perceived threat.
So it's kind of like their way of saying back off.
Exactly. It's their way of protecting themselves
Right,
and
yeah.
setting boundaries, whether from something that's actually dangerous or
Right.
something they just think is dangerous.
And that's why it's so important to understand those root causes, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm guessing it's not just as simple as my dog's aggressive.
No, not at all.
There's got to be more to it, right?
Absolutely. The guide really emphasizes just how many different factors can contribute
Okay.
to a dog being aggressive. Fear and anxiety, that's one of the biggest ones.
Yep,
Like if a dog feels overwhelmed
Mhm.
or threatened, their instinct is to defend themselves,
Right.
even if we know that the thing isn't actually a threat.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. Like I get startled easy,
Yeah,
so I can only imagine, right?
exactly. It even goes deeper than that.
Oh,
It talks about how a dog's genetics and their early socialization
oh yeah.
and even their personality can play a role in how they perceive and react to things.
So it really is nature and nurture, right?
Yeah, it's a complex mix.
Yeah.
And then you add in things like, being territorial or being possessive over
Yes,
food
sure.
or toys, or even just having a medical condition that causes pain. It's a lot.
Yeah, so we really got to move away from just slapping a label of mean on a dog.
You got it. It's about understanding the reasons
Right.
behind the actions so we can really address the aggression and help them feel better.
Makes sense. So how do we go about figuring out the cause? I mean,
Right.
they can't just tell us, right?
Well, that's where reading their signals comes in.
Okay,
So their body language and sounds.
Yeah, what are the signs?
Oh,
You guys
oh.
got a whole section on red flags, right?
Oh, yeah. And it says that recognizing these signals early on can be the key to preventing things
Oh,
from escalating.
I'm sure some of them are pretty obvious.
Well, yeah.
Like if my dog is growling at me, I'm probably not going to go in for a hug.
Right. But there's some subtle ones, too. Like maybe they stiffen up or they tuck their tail or maybe even lick their lips.
Lip licking. I never would have thought of that.
It's amazing
Right.
how much they communicate through their body. The guide even says that a little shift in their weight or like a change in their eyes can tell us a lot.
So we've got to pay attention to the whole picture,
Exact.
not just one little thing.
Yeah, look for patterns. Think
Yeah.
about the context.
Uh-huh.
Is your dog acting differently around strangers?
Right.
Or when someone's near their food?
Yeah,
Or maybe when they feel trapped?
like a puzzle.
Yeah, all these little pieces.
Right.
And the more we understand those pieces, the better we can respond and prevent those things that make them anxious in the first place.
I'm starting to see just how much I've been missing, honestly.
It's true. A lot of us do. That's why I think this guide is so helpful.
Yeah.
It really helps you learn a whole new way to communicate with your dog.
Speaking of learning, the guide also has a case study about a German Shepherd
Yes.
named Rocky, right?
Yeah.
Who's struggling with fear aggression.
Yes. Rocky's story is a great example of how
That's
even seemingly hopeless cases can be turned around.
Yeah, I'm curious about Rocky. What was he like?
So he was absolutely terrified of strangers, to the point where he would lunge and bark
Oh, wow.
at anyone who came near him. His owner, John, had tried everything.
Poor Rocky.
Yeah, he was at his wit's end.
Really tough for both of them, yeah.
John was even scared to take Rocky on walks,
Yeah.
because of how he might react to people.
So how did they turn things around for Rocky? Was there a plan? Sounds like they needed a little professional help.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
John actually contacted a certified animal behaviorist,
Oh.
which is always a good idea, honestly, when you're dealing with aggression, especially when it's affecting daily life like this.
Makes sense. We love our dogs, But we're not all behavior experts, right?
Right.
So what did they do for Rocky?
Well, first they did a really thorough assessment
Okay.
to figure out what was causing the fear.
Yep.
They looked at his history, his genetics. They even did temperament testing to get a clearer picture of his personality.
It really is a detective case, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
Got to figure out what makes him tick.
So once they understood what was going on, what did they do?
So they created a 2-part plan
Okay.
focused on training and counter-conditioning.
Right. Remind me again, how does counter-conditioning work?
Basically, you're changing their emotional response,
Right.
rewiring those negative associations.
Oh, yeah?
So instead of fear or feeling threatened, they feel safe and maybe even happy.
So for Rocky, that means changing how he felt about strangers.
Exactly. But it's not like just throwing him into a crowd and hoping for the best.
Right. That would be too much.
Way too much.
Yeah.
It has to be gradual.
Yeah.
So they developed a desensitization plan,
Mm-hmm.
exposing him to strangers gradually at a pace he could handle.
So what did that look like the very first steps?
Okay, so
Yes.
they started by having a stranger stand really far away, like across the street,
Okay.
and they'd just toss treats toward Rocky.
Yeah.
The idea is to create a good association.
Right. So he thinks good things happen when that person's around.
Exactly. And they didn't rush it at all.
Okay.
They only moved the stranger closer when Rocky was relaxed.
Got it. So lots of patience.
Tons. And positive reinforcement.
Yeah, of course.
It's all about trust.
Mm-hmm.
The guide even recommends using a clicker.
Oh, yeah. I've heard about that.
Yeah,
I never thought about using it for aggression, though.
it's really helpful.
Okay.
Clear communication lets them know what they're doing right.
So that was all happening alongside the obedience training.
Yep. They worked on sit, stay,
Right.
especially look at me, to help him focus in those tough situations.
Give him a little control back.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
It empowers him.
Right.
Helps him feel more confident.
So with all that, did he start to feel better around strangers?
He did.
Wow.
It took time and consistency, of course,
Right.
but the counter conditioning and the training, it really worked.
That's amazing.
The fear-based aggression really decreased.
It shows you that if you understand their emotions and work with them patiently,
Yeah.
it can really work.
And, it's important to remember that sometimes you need professional help,
Yeah.
like Rocky's story.
Yeah.
Sometimes we need that expert guidance to create a safe plan for everyone.
Right. Because even if we have the best intentions,
Yeah,
we might not know how to handle something like that on our own.
exactly. And remember, it's not just about managing the aggression.
Mhm.
It's about helping the dog feel better, right?
Absolutely. That's the goal.
That's what it's all about.
So what would you say to someone listening right now
Mhm.
who maybe sees some of these signs in their own dog? Where do they start? I bet it feels overwhelming.
It can be,
Yeah,
but even just admitting there might be a problem,
right.
that's a big step.
It is. It is.
And my biggest advice is don't try to do it all yourself.
Right.
Reach out, get some help,
Yeah.
talk to a certified animal behaviorist
Mm.
or a vet who specializes in behavior.
Right. They're the experts, like we said.
Yeah.
They can help you figure it out.
They'll create a plan that's right for your dog.
And just like Rocky, there's hope.
Always.
Yeah.
Even if it seems tough now, you can help your dog feel better.
It's so inspiring, his story.
It is.
It really shows you that even dogs with aggression,
Mm-hmm.
they can learn, they can change.
And, seeing those changes,
Yeah.
knowing you helped a dog have a better life,
Yeah.
that's what makes this so rewarding.
I can see why you're so passionate about it.
Yeah.
It's more than training, isn't it?
It is.
It's about that bond
Yeah.
and understanding.
And I think that's what this all comes down to.
Mhm.
Understanding that aggression,
Yeah,
it's communication.
it is.
We have to listen to them,
Right.
learn and respond in a way that helps them.
That's a great way to put it. It's not about punishment.
Nope.
It's about figuring out what they're trying to say.
Exactly. Sometimes it's just, I'm scared right now.
Oh, you.
Give me some space.
I've learned so much today.
Me too.
I bet our listeners have too.
I hope so.
It's incredible all the things we can learn
Yeah.
when we try to see things from their perspective.
It opens up a whole new world.
It does.
And the best part is,
Hey.
this is just the start. There's so much more to explore
So true, so true.
about canine behavior and deepening that bond with our dogs.
And I have a feeling our listeners are probably a little more curious about their own dogs now, right?
I hope so. Sometimes the best discoveries are right there,
Yeah,
right in front of us, wagging their tails, just waiting for us to understand them.
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So To everyone listening out there,
Yeah.
I want to leave you with this. What messages is your dog sending you? What can you learn by watching them?
Think about it.
Try to see the world through their eyes.
It's a journey,
It is.
and it's worth it.
Until next time, happy decoding, and keep those communication channels open.